At a time when services have never been so complex, and with growing pressure on operators to innovate, managed services are looking an increasingly attractive option. But who are managed services really for? And what's preventing their wider take-up? John, where are you seeing the interest in managed services coming from?
We see a lot of interest in managed services. I think Gartner have reported something like 8 to 9% growth in that sector, compared to probably half that in terms of telecom software. Some of that is coming from the larger mature companies, some from the smaller new entrants, often for different reasons. And the larger companies, we tend to find it's more so that they can concentrate on the core business. Of course, cost is starting to become an increasing factor in their decision making as well. I think for the smaller companies, it's much more about CapEx, moving CapEx to OpEx and improving their cash flow. And we also find skills retention is an issue with some of the smaller companies in the emerging markets, and that's where we can help as well.
And how's this working for telecoms?
So the way we find this is working in telecoms is that an increasing number of our customers are approaching us proactively, inquiring about managed services or asking for managed services as an option in the various requests for proposals that we receive. So if I take the example of wholesale billing, which is an area we're moving into now in managed services, that means they're going to really focus on the core parts of the business. Things like negotiating new agreements and tariffs with their partner operators, organising for least cost or optimised routing, putting in place the analytics and taking the decisions as a result of those things. These are the things they want to concentrate on rather than the back office processing where we can help them. So in terms of the companies we see out there, there are many MVNOs and other folks that are getting into M2M communications that are still coming onto the market and looking for this type of service so that they can concentrate on running their business rather than running IT.
So what kind of telco functions and processes lend themselves well to a managed services approach?
So we find the kind of functions and processes that lend themselves to managed services are pretty much everything that a telecom operator gets involved in, perhaps with the exception of one or two areas. For example, business strategy. That's not something that a company would wish to outsource. Equally, some of the applications that are very tied in, integrated into the network or other applications that often run in real time, these are things that are difficult to pull out into a managed service context. So if we take the wholesale billing side of things, we can operate everything from the hardware environment, the administration around that in terms of backups, disaster recovery, through to the operating system, the application itself, operating the application to the point perhaps of producing invoices, and ultimately the settlements between operators. So that's a very broad spectrum, and the customers will obviously pick where they wish to position themselves on that spectrum.
And how has that changed?
So we're finding it's changing in that we have over 500 customers worldwide. Some of those are asking us to operate their systems resident on their premises, and we can do that remotely. Others are asking us to set up a managed services from the outset, off-site, based in one of our data centres where we operate it. And in either model, they get as much access to the system as they need. So we're no stranger to either of those approaches as a business, and we've been processing billions of dollars on behalf of our clients, customers, cable and satellite operators in North America for many years.
So how do you see that developing?
And how we see it developing is, in CSG we've been in the managed services business for some time now. We process over 5 billion billing events on behalf of about 50 million end customers that our clients have. What we want to do now is to take that experience internationally and extend that to our existing customers in the Tier 1 and Tier 2 space, but also down to Tier 3 and 4 who've previously found access to the software probably untenable or unavailable. So we're extending our program to include the Europe, Middle East and Africa region as well as the Asia Pacific region in terms of managed services capability.
And what do you see as the greatest barriers to entry? I mean, the service sounds appealing, but what's going to stop a customer going with it?
So the barriers to entry we find are perceived lack of control in the customer's mind. They get anxious about that understandably. And the way we reassure them about that is by offering service level agreements, often attached to penalties, and that gives them the assurance they need that the service is going to meet their needs precisely. The other aspect is in regard to security, perhaps security of data, and there are obviously certain data laws regarding the movement of that data across borders. And the way we tackle that is often to strip out some of the sensitive personalised data and take the core transaction offshore, which works effectively. What we try to do is to approach this with a really rigorous methodology, That would contain roles and responsibilities defined between the parties, key performance indicators, service level agreements, as I mentioned, and overall governance around the relationship. And that, we find, provides the trust which both sides require. They need to trust us that we're going to take as much care of their customers and their data as they would, and that rigorous framework really underpins that trusted relationship.
John, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.